Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Surreal Sundays. I hope your weekend is everything you wanted to be. You did what you wanted to do. You and your family are safe and in good spirits and are doing well. Good and having in good health and all that stuff. All right. Tonight we got the title "Pull Yourself Up by Your Bootstraps." It's a condescending statement because and I'll get into that a little bit more. I was getting ready to get into it now, but no, we're gonna get into it a little bit later on why I chose this topic and what have you. We're gonna talk about the main two topics is about what's going on in Lincoln Heights, Ohio. Our people are standing up, protecting their community to what has been a reoccurring situation by by the same by the same people. And then we're gonna jump into what happened to them two twins down in Georgia. We're gonna hop into that. We got snatch shenanigans. We got this week's whiskey review. I'm changing the title on that, so we doing a couple changes over here at Real Talk with Mrs. O. Changing the title on that. So it's this week's whiskey review. And then we got that hot video. All right. So all that and a little bit more. So stay tuned and let's get into it.
You are now listening to some old school shit.
Yeah. All right. Get this music going here. All right. So like I said, before the intro, we're gonna get into uh, the two main topics is what's going on in Lincoln Heights, and the two young men that were found slain in the mountains of Georgia. All right, but we're gonna kind of lead up to those two main topics, and kind of start off with the overall title or theme of tonight's show is pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps, okay? So we're gonna first get into what I want to get into, and it's in relationship to Lincoln Heights, Ohio. When we're going to this video talking about 5 black towns that were destroyed by Esau. And you don't know who I'm referring to, I'm talking about the Caucasians, okay? Esau, Edom, Idumean. So let's go ahead and get into this video. Let's get the show started, all right? Just give me a moment here. I want to put in the owner of this video. I'm not going to go all the way through it. I'm going to do bits and pieces of it to try and be as safe as possible as far as copyright issues and what have you. But I do want to put the correct video owner in our fair use statement that we have posted in the upper left corner here. So let me get that together right quick. I can't wait till we get to the point where I can have an engineer do this for me so we can have a nice flowing broadcast. You do what you gotta do when you gotta do it, right? So let's go ahead and let's get into it.
It has been in the news recently. President Joe Biden paid a visit to the city. During the Tulsa race massacres, white mobs attacked.
So, the Tulsa race massacre. It's referring to what happened in Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. Okay, it's one of the towns that we built from the ground up. Our bootstraps. We pulled ourselves up with pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps. And then they came and burnt it all down, okay? Tulsa race massacre. Seneca Village, that's used to be, that's what Grand Central Park in Manhattan used to be. So it was majority black, and they moved into this area to get away from the more congested parts down in lower Manhattan, okay? And getting away from some of the treatment that they was experiencing down there. So they moved to Seneca Park, and Esau found a way to move them out, expel them out. Rosewood. Let's jump into the story behind Rosewood, Florida.
Community in Levy County, Florida, where a black community once presided. In 1923, white men from nearby towns lynched a black Rosewood resident because of false accusations that a white woman in a nearby town of Sumner had been assaulted by a black drifter. When black residents of Rosewood attempted to defend themselves against further attacks, a mob of hundreds of white men went.
How many times have we heard that play out? How many times have we heard that play out? The white woman cries, rape or whatever. And they use that as an excuse to do what they wanted to do in the first place. And murder, burn, everyone in the town over this lie. Reminds me of Emmett Till. And what happened in that situation. I know we all aware on what happened in that story. This looks like Illinois.
Number 3, East St. Louis in Illinois. Between May and July 1917, a series of race and labor-related riots broke out in East St. Louis in Illinois. During these riots, white mobs killed between 40 and 250 African Americans and left 6,000 homeless by destroying the whole black neighborhood of the city. Racial tension.
So they came to East St. Louis, did the same thing. There was another city in Illinois, I believe. Not coming to mind right now. I think it's Gainesville. I'm not sure. It'll come to me. Check out this town right here.
Number 4, Ocoee, Florida. On November 2nd, 1920, Election Day, a white mob terrorized a black resident of northern Ocoee, Florida over the right to vote. For a full year before Election Day, several black organizations were conducting voter registration drives across Florida and in Ocoee. One of the men working on the voter drive was a wealthy black.
So once again, Ocoee, Florida. And the last one on this video, Wilmington, North Carolina.
And number 5, Wilmington, North Carolina. By 1898, Wilmington, North Carolina was a thriving town with a majority black population. This led to there being elected black officials which forced white residents to share governing power. This didn't sit well with the white population which feared black rule. By the 1989 election, black men were prevented from voting. In an insurrection, black elected officials were pushed out along with opposing white officials. But that wasn't enough. A white mob hell-bent on destroying the economic power the black community built terrorized Wilmington. They destroyed property and businesses of black residents that were built up since the Civil War.
So, in order to keep power politically, they did what they did in Wilmington, North Carolina. Wanted you guys to check this story out here. It's a historical house on the east side of Detroit. Let me change the video on here right quick. I forget the alphabets that Channel 4 has. I know they're not ABC or NBC. Are they NBC? Because the Channel 2 is CBS. It's NBC. Or did they change it? Anyway, I put it on. All right, trying to stay compliant. Here we go.
Whose goal was to keep
The year was 1925 on Detroit's southeast side, the corner house at Garland and Charlevoix. A prominent African-American doctor moved in.
The mob wanted them out of this house because they were black and this was an all-white neighborhood.
Shots fired, a murder charge, and a defining moment in Detroit's race relations would follow.
This 4-bedroom Detroit home is now a historic landmark, etched in state and national history forever. Dr. Ossian Sweet moved his wife and daughter here, knowing that he would be crossing the color barrier, but like most families, wanted to live in a better neighborhood with better schools. I sit down with the homeowner, Daniel Baxter. He actually grew up in this house, and he worked to get its historic designation.
Let's go back to Detroit in 1925. It was the Great Migration era when African Americans were fleeing the rural South for opportunities in the North.
Blacks were living in a community called the Black Bottom. 10 to 20,000 African Americans living in a community that was designed to support about 5,000 people.
Now, right quick, Black Bottom was a neighborhood or a section in Detroit during the Rolling 20s and the 30s, the 1920s and 1930s, and what have you. And it was still there until I believe like the 1950s or what have you, when they started building the interstate system, in which they decided to cut through or cut out Black Bottom to build I-75. Okay. So that's how they dispersed us out of that section of Detroit at that time.
Those that had the means and tried to move out were confronted by mobs.
Anywhere from 500 to 1,000 whites whose goal was to keep their communities white, and blacks suffered tremendously.
Prominent Detroit doctor Ossian Sweet faced the dangers head on, purchased and moved into this house on September 8, 1925, in an all-white neighborhood.
He decided that he was either going to have to live as a coward or die as a man.
He had 9 friends and family stay at the house the first couple nights.
They brought guns to defend their home.
Nothing happened the first night.
But on September the 9th at 8:25, that's when all hell broke loose. The mob came.
Sweet was in his room.
And he laid in the bed. And the only thing that took him out of his fear was the fact that a rock came through the window.
And gunshots fired out.
And when the smoke cleared, 2 white folk had been shot.
And 1 killed. All the men in the home were arrested.
The national branch of the NAACP was looking for an opportunity to deal with housing discrimination. So they decide to hire famed attorney Clarence Darrow.
And Clarence Darrow is white.
Clarence Darrow is white, that's correct. Darrow based the entire case on a man's home is his castle, regardless to what color they are. All of the judges here in Detroit, nobody wanted to touch this case. No one except for a young, aspiring, red-headed Irish guy by the name of Frank Murphy.
Baxter describes what Dr. Sweet said on the stand.
I was facing the same mob that had hounded my people throughout its entire history. He gave that all-white male jury an opportunity to look through black eyes.
The jury would not come to a decision.
And as such, he threw the case out and declared it a mistrial.
Wow.
And that's the house that I grew up in.
Daniel Baxter spent years working to get the historic designation.
That's original?
Yeah, this is the original chandelier.
And his own money, sweat equity, and help from some creative and crafty friends to begin the restoration and decorations, including some help from Mayor Mike Duggan for the state and national marker and a $500,000 grant from the National Park Service to completely restore the home into a museum for public tours. As for Dr. Sweet, his life was never the same. Shortly after the trial, he continued to practice medicine, but lost his wife, daughter, and brother to tuberculosis. Dr. Sweet passed away in 1960 at the age of 64.
While he may not have ever thought that anybody would have recognized what he has done as something that was trailblazing, we do.
Well, if that ain't pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, I don't know what the fuck is. The dude was a doctor. Moved his family into, at that time, was a good neighborhood. and ended up facing the same fate that other people like us have had to experience, rather as a city or as an individual or as a group. Let me see if I can find that. As a group. As a group. I got a list. Here. Let me pull up this list. Wikipedia is the source. List of expulsions of African Americans. 1831, Portsmouth, Ohio. All 80 black residents were expelled under Ohio's discriminatory black laws. Wyandotte, Michigan. Wyandotte is a suburb of Detroit. Is in the area that we refer to as the Downriver community. African Americans was expelled from Wyandotte on multiple occasions. Pollock, Louisiana. Comanche County in Texas. Lexington, Oklahoma. Blackwell, Oklahoma. Linton, Indiana. Wilmington, we already did Wilmington. Carterville, Illinois. A violent shootout occurred between striking white miners and non-union black miners who were brought into Carterville as strike breakers. Pierce City, Missouri. 300 black residents were expelled after white residents lynched 3 black men for allegedly killing your precious white woman. Decatur, Indiana. A mob of 50 men forced black residents out of Decatur. Got East St. Louis in here. We've been over that. Florida, Rosewood, Manhattan Beach, California. Manhattan Beach, California. What happened out there? Manhattan Beach City Council passed Ordinance 263 claiming eminent domain for a public park in order to take properties owned by black residents and eliminate the African American resort. Speaking of eminent domain. Not only did we have to contend with civilian white folks, we also had to contend with the government doing the exact same thing by way of using eminent domain. Let's see what we got here. Oscarville, Georgia. Let's see if I can find that in here right quick. Pull that up.
Turn now to one community in
See if I can find that. Oscarville, Georgia. It's not on the map anymore. It's beneath Lake Lanier, L-A-N-I-E-R, in Georgia. That's northwest of Atlanta. Okay? Let me see if I can find some information on that right quick. They flood that town so they can have the lake. Boynton, Alabama was flooded so they can create the Walter F. George Reservoir. using eminent domain. Let me see about, let's see, Oscarville. Let me see if I can find something real quick on that. Oscarville. Oscarville, Georgia, under Lake Lanier. Let's see what we got. Okay.
Story all new at 5:30. We are taking a closer look at an all-black town in Georgia called Oscarville.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about this on social media for the last few years, and if you haven't heard of it, it's probably because it no longer exists. It's buried under Lake Lanier. 11 Alive's Latasha Gibbons has more.
When we started working on this story, we set out to track down descendants of Oscarville. Weeks later, we found a family who could trace back their roots 4 generations. They shared with us stories that were handed down about what the all-black town was like, including the night that led to its destruction. It was set on fire by night riders after they say a white woman was raped. Then later, it was covered by the body of water we now know as Lake Lanier. May Crow is buried here at this Gainesville cemetery, but the trail of destruction following her death stretches into the land surrounding Forsyth County, buried beneath these waves of Lake Lanier, where in 1912 nearly every black resident was forced out. That includes people living in an old black town called Oscarville. The community was formed in the late 1800s during the Reconstruction era.
There was a very strong community feeling among the blacks. About 300 children that went to some of the schools that were the black schools, and it was closely connected to the churches.
Georgia history teacher Lisa Crosby says Oscarville was a thriving black community, full of carpenters, blacksmiths, and bricklayers, but farming was the top trade.
So they really had kind of a miraculous farming growth here while the rest of the state was really struggling.
But then residents were abruptly forced off their land.
The flashpoint, I think, is 1912.
This takes us back to the death of May Crow. The 19-year-old white woman was found dead in the woods near Oscarville, presumably after being raped.
Typically, the answer to white girls being raped was go to the black community and just start blaming people.
By nightfall, terror began to reign over Oscarville.
So from there, the rage and hatred in the community, mobs got together and they were called night riders, and they were riding throughout Oscarville and driving out the black community.
And the night turned deadly. You know, they were waking up by fires outside, fire bombs thrown in the church.
Filmmaker Bob Mackey recaptures those horrific nights in an upcoming television series.
Anytime anything happened, guess where everyone would go? To the church. Well, they attacked the church. People were hung, lynched.
Mackey's series features stories of direct descendants like George Rucker, who can trace his family back 4 generations to Oscarville. He tells the story of his great-grandfather, Bert Oliver, and the entire family being forced off their land.
Night riders came through. They had to leave everything. The main thing they left was property. My grandfather had 100 acres.
Rucker says many relatives died as they tried to flee.
So
his grandfather had 100 acres of land. Seems like he pulled himself up by the bootstraps. And this story goes on and on and on, over and over again. And then they have the nerve to say, well, y'all lazy. Y'all don't try worth a damn. You need to pull yourselves up by the bootstraps. You keep taking the damn boots away from them. And now we're at a point now where we have people in prominent positions, doctors, lawyers, politicians, and what have you. And what we perceive as prominent people in entertainment, okay? And all these people are making high 6 digits, millionaires. Ain't nobody building no towns anymore. They got us where they want us. And it's okay to have a couple dollars. it's okay to have a couple dollars, but y'all, we don't want y'all coming together, doing and doing what y'all did decades ago. Okay. All right, let's go to the chats right quick. See what's going on in the chats right quick. First, I want to say, Highway 20 Skinny. Good evening, family. Good evening, Highway Skinny. What's happening with you? Mark Harris says, old school like the expansion of Highway 110 freeway in Carson, California. Okay, so I'm not really privy to that. So yeah, they did it all over with I-75 in Detroit, and like Mark Harris says, the 101. Me and Mrs. O, we rode on the 101. Unfortunately, it was raining and we didn't get a good view of the Pacific and what have you. But it was nice to be that far west anyway. And that was pretty cool. Oh no, I said the 101, you said the 110. So that's two different highways. 110. We got take heed to the message in the house. Take heed in the message. What's going on? Take heed. Good to see you. All praises to you. Take heed in the message. And Mrs. O. All right, take heed. Let's see what we got going on in here. Told I had a question in here. Let's see what we got. A-Team in the house. They flooded or burned down successful black towns because we were wealthier than them, because we had all of the skills after the Civil War. However, they didn't talk about that. Now, what they want you to be, what I believe is what they want is for us to be separate, but dependent. They don't want you independent. And they was cool with integration because they helped go along their long-term goals in regards to us, in my belief. So integration was cool with segregation behind the mask, behind the scenes, where you couldn't really put your thumb on it. I mean, you could, but everybody be like, yeah, but that's still speculation. You can still put a spin on that and what have you. So I could say that they were envious of the wealth, but what they really wanted, in my belief, is for us to be dependent on it. They don't want you to have thriving economies and what have you, because towns grow to cities, grow to counties, can grow to states. So let's stop that bullshit before it start to grow. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop that. Let's stop them from having a town here and a town there and a town there, and then next thing you know, they'll be trading amongst themselves. There's somebody over here growing corn or any type of crops, and then somebody over here, they got the herd, you know what I'm saying? Somebody over here, they got textiles, and no, let's not, we ain't about to play that game, because that's exactly what was going to happen. Different areas, and then we was gonna start trading amongst ourselves and building up our own economy. That's what they wanted to stop, in my belief. That's what they wanted to stop, in my belief. So they want us to be separate but dependent. That's the ultimate goal. Hold on, let's see what's going on. Take heed to the message. Being self-sufficient. That's why we are, Mark Harris says, old school, that's why we are resilient. That's right, it's in our makeup. The Most High made us that way. All right. Okay, so let's get back to what we got going on with the videos. All right, looking for, okay. A little snippet of let's see, Emancipation Media, Black American. Okay, we'll go and check this out right quick. Switch over to that scene. All right. So I'm gonna go through this. Right quick.
From Brother Ishmael.
14 years. From 1863 to 1877, look at the progress that black people made attempting to be free, Blacks made great strides achieving political offices, developing private businesses, even setting up dozens of all-black towns. In fact, about it, we had built 60 towns, but white terrorists targeted them for destruction. As in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the first bombs that ever fell in America or on American soil fell on Black Wall Street. Y'all remember Black Wall Street?
And then in what was it, 1980, 82, 83, probably 85. I know it's the early 80s. Philadelphia. They dropped bombs on the people who were in the MOVE movement. This is in the 80s, and they dropping bombs. A small group of people being self-sufficient, minding their business. $1985. See if I can find something that was by a news source. Here we go. 6 ABC Philadelphia.
Additional human remains from the MOVE bombing have been found at the University of Pennsylvania. 5 children and 6 adults were killed when police bombed the MOVE organization's headquarters in Cobbs Creek back in 1985. It caused a raging fire, which eventually destroyed the entire neighborhood. Action News reporter Taronda Thomas live in South Philadelphia with those details tonight. Taronda.
Well, Rick, I just talked to the mother of the child whose remains were recently discovered. She and others from the MOVE organization were imprisoned at the time of the bombing. They say now knowing the truth of what happened to those remains is horrifying.
And they keep putting this up in my face.
A 39-year-old wound once again reopened.
They dropped a bomb on our family. They locked us up for 41 years for something we didn't do.
Janet Africa's 12-year-old daughter, Delisha, was one of 11 people killed in the 1985 bombing targeting the Black liberation group MOVE. She was told that her child's remains had been turned over to relatives, but all this time, those remains have been at the University of Pennsylvania's museum. Museum workers found them on Tuesday as they were conducting inventory.
Things that we heard that they did to our family's remains are horrifying.
In 2021, the University of Pennsylvania admitted to keeping the bones of at least one victim. There was also a box of remains discovered at the City of Philadelphia's medical examiner's office. Remains of victims were also being used at Princeton University. One by one, they're being returned to families who lost loved ones, including Janine Africa, whose son was one of 5 children killed in the bombing.
This is just an act of vengeance and hate.
Penn Museum released a statement that says in part, quote, confronting our institutional history requires ever-evolving examination of how we can uphold museum practices to the highest ethical standards.
To trust them.
And I mean, so the Nation of Islam brother spoke on 60 towns between the mid-1800s into the early 1900s, and they came and destroyed them all or suppressed them, at least. We got we still got Idlewild, Michigan. My rib was telling me that they still trying to hold on to the property in Idlewild. Okay. And that Esau, Edom, Idumea is still trying to get parts of Idlewild, if not all of it. Because there's a hidden treasure in Idlewild. Not like gold or anything. I don't want to put it out there. I don't know if they know or not. I don't know if it's common knowledge or not or what have you, but Idlewild. But they suppressed that enough to where, you know, the school system ain't up to par, you know. The economy in Idlewild is not up to par. So we still got a couple of towns in this country still holding on and what have you. Let's see what we got going on over here in the talks. Let's see. 18, integration was an illusion to get our money. Instead of sticking to shopping with ourselves, we had to go spend our money with them. But absolutely. I believe it was a saying that in Black Wall Street that the dollar circulated within that town for what, 90 days or something, 60, 90 days or something before, you know, it left the economy or what have you. Now, a dollar leaves the Black community within 90 seconds. The minute you get it, you spend it. And it ain't going to another Black person. It's either going to Esau or it's going to the Asians or it's going to the Arabics or the East Indians. It's going to everybody else but us. Now they got us on self-destruction mode, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's not like, you know, if we even had a business in our community, the YN's gonna come in and break in and steal your shit. You can't keep nothing. They can't keep nothing. But this all builds up to what we about to get into. what we're about to get into.
Ohio, which is now the center of a turn now to one community in Ohio, which is now the center of a growing national debate about civil rights, hate speech, and the Second Amendment. NBC News correspondent and NBC News Now daily anchor Morgan Radford visited the town of Lincoln Heights, where residents have formed an armed community defense group in the wake of a neo-Nazi rally. Morgan joins us now. You were there just on Tuesday. What did the residents tell you about what's going on?
Yeah, I was there just this week. John, it was fascinating because what's interesting is that this town was founded during the Great Migration back in the 20s as a refuge for black citizens, which is why it was especially painful when neo-Nazis suddenly appeared in this 3,000-person majority black town. But they decided to fight back, taking up arms and patrolling their own streets. Now they're at the center of a much larger debate about protection and free speech and who gets it.
These aren't police officers or soldiers.
We're business owners, we're fathers, we're sons, daughters.
These are civilians, members of the Lincoln Heights Safety and Watch Program.
It's a duty. Okay, let's go.
The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio.
Ain't nobody scared of you.
After neo-Nazis held a rally here last month, carrying rifles, waving swastikas, and hurling racial slurs, just moments before children were let out of school. At the time, law enforcement officials said the neo-Nazis did not break any laws, but an investigation by county prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came with these flyers. Weeks later, the KKK came.
So it's a buildup. So you had the neo-Nazis doing their thing on the overpass and what have you. That's cool. Do your thing, whatever. And now you got the KKK coming in, leave now, self-deport. It's the same shit that we've been dealing with decades prior. Again. Now, I'm in agreement with what they're doing down there to protect their community. However, now it's a question on hate speech and the legalities of what you're doing and how is this supposed to perceive and how does this help the situation and all this carrying on. But I guarantee you, if it was the small hat people, it wouldn't have been no question. The media wouldn't have had no questions. It was, oh, this is anti-Semitism, so we shutting this shit down. I believe people would have been in bracelets that day if they would have ran up into a small hat community and threw flyers like this, leave now, self-deport. While I was putting the show together, I ran into some material. I was a descendant of black of a person from that came from Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she's woofing reparations. I hate to put this to you, but you need to give that shit up. You need to give it up. If they wanted to pay us, we would have been paid. They pay everybody else. They bombed Japan. They repaid them. They repaid the Japanese that was over here. Gave them their reparations. They go over to Iraq, Afghanistan, and then once they blow everything up, they rebuild that shit. No problem. Every city got a Chinatown in it. Because they make the entry into business easier, more favor, and the barriers are less than it is with us. Of course, other groups do things a little differently with their money. But that's also because they have not had the history that we have had. So they don't come from a period or a time where they was enslaved. And then once they were legally free, then they had to deal with different things, different processes that was put in the system to create barriers for us to become self-sufficient. And then once we became self-sufficient, once we overcame them barriers, they said, nah, you don't pass go. You don't pass go. You reverse all that shit right back around. You start over again. And now we are in a self-destructing cycle. So they don't have to do much. Although you do have these groups out here that still do what they do. But this is just a reoccurrence of what's been. And then the reports say the complaints were that the police didn't do much. No one got arrested. Let that been us saying something anti-Semitic. Let that be the neo-Nazis having anti-Semitic messages. Shut down immediately. So they pick and choose who they want to protect. And we all know this. It's nothing new. Not saying nothing that nobody knows. Preach to the choir.
With these flyers.
First African-American community above the Mason-Dixon line of staff.
Safety and Watch Group spokesperson Durrance Daniels says the police did not do enough, which was more chilling because the town was founded in the 1920s as a safe haven for Black residents.
Lincoln Heights is our home. If somebody broke into your home, you call the police, and the police says, if they do it again, we haven't broken any law, so we're just going to allow them to break into your home again. What would you do?
Are you worried at all that having a potentially armed response could just create more friction, create more danger?
And this is my worry, because we continue to adopt the belief that this system is going to defend us, that we can rely on this system to back up and enforce their own laws. The right to bear arms. Yeah, we'll see. My issue is that we are dealing with a people who have the power to manipulate and change laws overnight in their favor. They have a long credit report of not abiding by their word. They create treaties and stuff saying that and agreements that saying they're gonna do something, and then the minute you turn your back, they're breaking the treaty. They're breaking the contract. They're not doing what they promised they was gonna do or not going to do. We got Trump right now. It's a slow reversal on our protections. Even though I don't want to attach us to that thing that they just reversed, DE something, diversity, something inclusion and what have you, which includes people who decide to live a certain lifestyle, not somebody that was born into a certain color of skin that they don't have no control over, but they want to group them people into that, something that I don't agree with. But that's a reversal. Now it's certain segregation policies in regards to federal contracts that are being reversed. And it's just going to get bigger and bigger. I remember, and I don't give a shit, I'm going to put them on blast. I think it was local addresses in Detroit. Local 58. Okay, I don't believe it's local 58. So we got two local electrical locals in Metro Detroit. And local 58 is one of them. IBEW, Local 58, is one of the IBEW unions that are in Metro Detroit. Back in 2019, I applied to join an apprenticeship there. I don't know, I can't remember if it was Local 58 or it was the other one. On their paperwork, I wish I had it. I probably do, but it'll take too much. I have too much dead space and what have you, trying to look for it and what have you. So, long story short, it said that we're going to hire, not word for word verbatim. Let's say, for example, because I'm trying to remember exact numbers, and it's going to take forever to do so. So, for example, we're going to hire 20% minorities, and the rest is going to be what is considered majority. And that was in their language. That was in their language. And until somebody had pointed this out, I was in this thinking. And I believe that the most of us are in this thinking that I'm about to state. When the politicians and anybody else, when they say minorities, we automatically think us. No. Minorities include Asians, Arabs. Minorities include everybody else except Esau. So when a politician says, yeah, we're going to create such and such so many jobs for minorities, that's a trick word. That's that Jedi mind trick on your ass. Because you're going to think, oh, he talking about me. No, he talking about, you think he talking about, he actually talking about everybody else in the minority category except for you. And he'll let a couple of you trickle in and what have you, just to keep, the so you don't have an exact thumb to put down on this is what you're doing. But yeah, in their paperwork, I was astonished. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, they got big balls to do that one. But it was in what you can expect, what you are up against. It was 50%. That's right. It was 50% Esau and 50% minority. But minority include everybody else, not just you and me. And that was in their paperwork.
I'll answer that by saying I've never felt safer as a black man in my.
And so this brings me back to, like, I went kind of veered to the left or the right a little bit. So it's cool that you're protecting your own. Bravo. My belief is we don't have lathes and mills and grinders in our garage. They do. So when Smith & Wesson and Springfield Armory and Glock close their production, these folks still have the blueprints to make their own. Not only that, they already got what they have, and they have more than what we have. They have the law to take away what we have. Or if they take away ours, they can take away theirs. You keep thinking that they can't just say, fuck it, you back in slavery tomorrow. And those who huff and puff and fight are the ones that's going to be strange fruit. It's nothing for them to snap their Thanos finger and put us right back to where we was at. Our problem is we keep believing in this system that was never built for us. So, okay, old school. So, I mean, if we can't rely on our on weapons, we can't rely on the politics and what have you. What can we rely on? And then we go back to that topic that don't nobody want to get with, which is why we here in the first place. And that topic is for those who are really clueless and those who want to pretend clueless. That is getting back with the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. And I'm gonna drop it like that. Not gonna get too much into that, but that's what it is.
Our community that I have right now.
The mayor of Evendale, which oversees the police force that responded that day, said in a statement to NBC News, "Our emphasis on de-escalation and public safety resulted in the incident's resolution without injuries to any of the persons involved."
Come on.
But residents here say they can't afford to wait. Every day, the Safety and Watch group escorts children to school and patrols the streets.
Why do you all wear masks?
Those Nazis, we have reports of them finding our backgrounds, so we're not hiding ourselves from the residents, but we're protecting our family for what we're doing out here.
While many locals do support the security group, some, like business owner Eric Ruffin, say they wish the group wasn't needed.
We don't want to become what we hate. You know, we don't want to become a group of people that walk around feeling like we have a reason in America to have to protect ourselves.
And this community
Stand up.
Is not backing down.
We contacted the mayor of Evendale's office, and they say that prosecutors are looking at body camera footage of the neo-Nazi rally to see if any criminal charges could be filed. But meantime, the Hamilton County Sheriff is also calling on state lawmakers to pass legislation making it a crime to wear a mask with the purpose of intimidation while open carrying, guys.
So, Morgan, let me ask you, one of the people you interviewed there, a young man, said he's never felt safer in his community than he does now. So this could have an impact nationwide, things like this. I mean, there is a contagion factor in safety. People always seek it. What did the mayor or anybody that you spoke to think about the contagion factor?
Duran's, I don't want to speak for him, but after my conversation with him, I feel like I could confidently say he would say the contagion factor has already happened. Because when I asked, is this a reaction to a local moment or a national movement? And he said, look at January 6th. He said, you already have people felt emboldened to come here locally because of what they saw nationally. If you can hang from the building of the hallowed halls of the Capitol and then be pardoned, not be prosecuted, Why don't you think you can come to a small village of African Americans, only 3,000 people?
Morgan, does the group have any real authority? But as long as they stay within the confines of the law, they should be okay.
It's a great question. You know, I asked that basically, are you stopping cars when they come in because you think someone looks suspicious? Is that, you know, profiling in its own sort of way? And they said, no. We are patently aware of what our rights are and what our limitations are. They said, we're not officers. What we do is we are trying to cooperate with the police department.
And so you see how she's asking, you know, what's the legality of what they're doing and what have you. So then we go back to this right here, this flyer that was up. We play it.
First African American community above.
Children were let out of school. At the time, law enforcement officials said the neo-Nazis did not break any laws, but an investigation by county prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came.
Isn't that intimidation and harassment? Isn't there some statute against what the fuck we seeing on the screen right now? Tell me if I'm wrong. But then you want to ask, well, what about the black folks? What they doing? Is there some type of are they protected by any statutes or what have you, or what they doing legal? Our actions is always up for questions. But what you see on the screen, something that's already been perpetrated, already done, already exercised. Doesn't that fall under the umbrella of hate speech? Racial, some type of intimidation or harassment? They overlook this shit, but want to put a microscope on what we do in response to this shit.
These aren't police officers or soldiers.
We're business owners, we're fathers, we're sons, daughters.
These are civilians, members of the Lincoln Heights Safety and Watch program.
It's a duty. Okay, let's go.
The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio.
Ain't nobody scared of you.
After neo-Nazis held a rally here last month, carrying rifles, waving swastikas, and hurling racial slurs, just moments before children were let out of school. At the time, law enforcement officials said the neo-Nazis did not break any laws, but an investigation by county prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came with these flyers.
First African American community above the Mason-Dixon line of staff.
Safety and Watch Group spokesperson Durrance Daniels says the police did not do enough, which was more chilling because the town was founded in the 1920s as a safe haven for black residents.
Lincoln Heights is our home. If somebody broke into your home, you call the police, and the police says, you know, if they do it again, we haven't broken any law, so we're just going to allow them to break into your home again. What would you do?
So you feel like the police department and the sheriff have allowed or been silent in the face of this threat?
They've been more than silent. I don't know what else to call that. Like that can't happen nowhere else. What is so intimidating about a black man with a gun saying that I'm not going to allow a terrorist to harm my family?
Are you worried at all that having a potentially armed response could just create more friction, create more danger?
I'll answer that by saying I've never felt safer as a black man in my community than I have right now.
The mayor of Evendale, which oversees the police force that responded that day, said in a statement to NBC News, "Our emphasis on de-escalation and public safety resulted in the incident's resolution without injuries to any of the persons involved."
Come on.
But residents here say they can't afford to wait. Every day, the Safety and Watch Group escorts children to school and patrols the streets.
Why do you all wear masks?
Those Nazis, we have reports of them finding our backgrounds, so we're not hiding ourselves from the residents, but we're protecting our family from what we're doing out here.
While many locals do support the security group, some, like business owner Eric Ruffin, say they wish the group wasn't needed.
We don't want to become what we hate. You know, we don't want to become a group of people that walk around feeling like we have a reason in America to have to protect ourselves.
And this community
Stand up.
Stand up.
is not backing down.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
New video tonight shows more of the response from
All right. So, over and over again, we're experiencing this stuff, and so it starts off a couple of, flickers of flame and what have you, and soon it will be a full-blown inferno of this bullshit. Okay? To continue the topic, or to veer off slightly into, we're still staying on race relations. We're gonna go off into what happened to those two young men.
Tonight,
a volunteer firefighter.
Tonight, a murder-suicide investigation in Georgia, leaving a distraught family with more questions than answers.
We want to know exactly what happened to the twins.
Police say twin brothers Khaidir and Nazir Lewis were found dead by hikers on a Georgia mountain earlier this month. The brothers, weeks away from their 20th birthday, each found with gunshot wounds, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, which says their preliminary investigation reveals the deaths to be a murder-suicide.
We knew right away that wasn't true.
But their relatives rejecting that characterization by police, saying the boys were close and had no history of conflict.
They're very protective of each other. I couldn't imagine them hurting each other because I never even seen them get into a fist fight before.
Relatives saying the twins had tickets for a 7 a.m. flight on March 7th from Lawrenceville, Georgia to Boston, where they were set to meet friends. But on March 8th, their bodies were found at the summit of Bell Mountain, 90 miles away from their home and in an area their relatives believe they had never visited.
How they end out in the mountains, they don't hike out there. They've never even been out there. They don't know nothing about Hiwassee, Georgia. They never even heard of Bell Mountains. So how did they end up right there?
Over the weekend, authorities saying autopsies have been completed on the pair, but a medical examiner ruling had not been released because further forensic testing was needed. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations has not disclosed if a gun was found at the scene or how the twins got to the mountain, telling NBC News the investigation is active and ongoing. NBC reached out to family members for more information, but did not hear back.
They had a huge support system. Like, we know them, but they wouldn't do anything like this. Something happened in those mountains, and we want answers.
Priya Sridhar, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app.
So we got two young men who were found in the mountains, and had no history of knowing about this region of Georgia, going there or anything. Yet they was found there. And then, as usual, the police want to quickly say that this was a homicide-suicide. Okay. Which kind of reminds me of two other young men. Kendrick Johnson.
Afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us today for Fox 5 News at 4. I'm Christine Spiro. The Lowndes County teen's body was discovered in a rolled up mat in a high school gym back in 2013. Authorities ruled his death a freak accident, but his parents believe he was murdered. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is live at the Richard Russell Federal Building in downtown Atlanta this afternoon.
I'm not a grown ass child. I kind of like an oxymoron. But an able-bodied teenager, a high schooler, gets himself into some rolled up mat and can't get out of the mat. A mat that's not tied up. A mat that doesn't have other stuff on top of the mat. A free-formed, rolled-up mat the young man crawls into, and, just so happens that this mat was a boa constrictor mat or a Venus flytrap mat. That's what the fuck this was. And once he got in there, the boa constrictor Venus flytrap mat started to tighten his grip on him, and he couldn't get free. That's what the fuck happened. That's exactly what the fuck happened. The boa constrictor Venus flytrap mat. That's what the fuck happened. Absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous. But the little Edomite boys their parents had connections with the federal, with the FBI and stuff. And so they was able to do whatever they did, and, they still haven't came to a conclusion to date. Boa constrictor Venus flytrap mat. That's what the fuck that was. Or what about this young man? Found a news source I don't want to use.
This morning, the family of a deceased Mississippi man demanding answers after an alleged brutal racist
Rasheed
attack
Carter.
and a new set of possible remains after a series of other body part discoveries. According to police, 25-year-old Rasheed Carter was last seen in Laurel, Mississippi back in October after complaining to his mom he was being followed by white men in trucks yelling racial epithets. Police confirm Carter sought help at a local police station.
I'm the mother that's going to keep standing, that's going to keep fighting, that's going to keep doing what I have to do as a mother to get the justice that my son deserved.
His family and civil rights attorney Ben Crump calling for justice, insisting Carter was mutilated.
We know that this was not of natural causes. This was a Mississippi lynching in 2022.
The Smith County Sheriff telling ABC News his office initially ruled no foul play was involved in Carter's death. But now the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, who has taken over the case, says it's an ongoing investigation. The sheriff adding in a news statement, quote, "Our goal is to uncover the truth, regardless of outside opinion or influence, and to bring closure and truth to Mr. Carter's family." According to Carter's autopsy report, a cause of death is undetermined at this time. His mother accuses local authorities of trying to sweep this case under the rug.
Mississippi, all America is watching to see if you're going to do right by Rasheed Carter.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC 7 Chicago Eyewitness News.
So this young man, he was hunted. They played with him in the woods. Got pictures, them deer cameras that they set up on the trees or what have you. Got those set up. Got, pictures of him running through the woods and what have you. He went down there for work, trying to pull himself up by the bootstraps. And so what happened to those two young men, that's what reminds me, it reminded me of Kendrick Johnson and Rashid Carter, okay? That's what it reminded me of those two. And the young man in North Carolina who was found hung by a tree. He was a truck driver. This is all recent. This is within the past year and a half. These young men, they graduated from high school. They was gonna go to Boston to go hang out with friends and what have you. And then, you know, in the fall, they was gonna go to college and pull themselves up out of motherfucking bootstrap.
A volunteer firefighter arrested, accused of taking a picture of the crime scene showing the bodies of twin brothers who'd been shot to death at the top of a mountain and then sharing those pictures.
That's right. So the hiker found 19-year-old Khadir and Nazir Lewis at Bell Mountain in Towns County on March 8th. This is 90 miles from their home in Lawrenceville. The GBI initially labeled the shooting as a murder-suicide. However, the family believes something more sinister happened to the twins.
11 Alive's Cody Alcorn first reported the family's concerns on Friday. He spoke with them again tonight following the arrest of this firefighter. Cody's live for us tonight in the newsroom. And Cody, the family is reacting to what's really disturbing development.
That's right, Jennifer and Ron. Obviously, they are disgusted by all of this. Now, we don't know just how many people shared this horrific picture of the twins' dead bodies, but tonight I confirmed with the Towns County schools the picture had been shared among students.
Oh my goodness. It's scary. I'm like literally scared to actually go on social media. I'm scared to pick up my phone. I'm like, because if I see that picture, I already know that I might have a heart attack.
Imagine if they mother see that, like, that would really destroy her. She's already going through a lot.
This is how the family of Khadir and Nazir Lewis want to remember the twins. However, now worried knowing crime scene photos showing the 19-year-old's bodies with a gunshot wound have been shared outside of law enforcement.
It's very disrespectful to this family. I feel like our privacy was invaded.
The volunteer firefighter accused of taking the picture charged and arrested. As for how the twins ended up on Bell Mountain on March 8th, their aunt and uncle can't make sense of it. The twins missed their flight to Boston on Friday morning, March 7th.
Then next thing you know, we hear the news about them found in the mountains. And we're still confused. I'm like, what? The twins? Mountains? This doesn't make sense.
We didn't believe that that was even them.
And then Bell Mountains, I'm like, no one even, we never even heard of before. And I know the twins never been there before. They never heard of before. I'm like, that was super strange. Yes. Like, that doesn't make sense.
The GBI initially calling the case a possible murder-suicide. The family adamant that can't be the case.
Doesn't make any sense. This absolutely just like out of character. Yes.
Their bodies found 90 miles from their home in Lawrenceville.
They don't even like driving the distance.
They don't.
That's
because
they don't do.
because they don't like to pay for gas.
Described as extremely protective of one another.
Every time you see them, they're like together all the time. Yeah. All the time.
And there's probably nothing in your head you could imagine that.
And so they pictures was being blasted around by a volunteer firefighter. The fuck you get the pictures from? Any place else, anybody else, especially if it was a different color, would be handcuffed. That's enough. Hey, what you these dudes is 90 miles away from home. They never been down here. How the hell you get pictures of them? Why do you have pictures of them? You know they like to take trophies and stuff. And they take some very vile trophies. They really nasty. They real nasty. What we got here? Okay, we did that. All right. So let's go into the chat. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Mrs. O says, sounds like the postcards with our people were strange fruit. They love it because they are the devil. Yes, they are. They are the devil. A-Team just chimed in. I feel he didn't do this alone. No, because it was, no, he didn't do it alone. I mean, you got two able-bodied young men. He ain't do it alone. If he tried it, he would have got his ass whipped. Probably would have got one, but the other one would have got him. He ain't do it alone. Del Monte Green Beans. If I didn't acknowledge you earlier, salute to you, brother. If you can remember, they want us to take the Pope first. That's when I knew something was funny with it. A-Team says, I feel his organs were stolen. The same way they bank employees sell your info is the same way the employees at the doctor's office can sell your information. Oh yeah. Have anybody seen that movie, what's that called? Where that dude, he had a girlfriend, she took him to her mother's house or what have you, and then she clicked the tea with the spoon, and next thing you know, he was in a deep place. I forgot the name of that damn movie. And the ultimate goal was to harvest his organs so they could put them into other people of their kind to keep them living. What was the name of that place? Get Out. Get Out. That's right. It was Get Out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Rockefeller. That dude had like 1 million heart transplants until he just couldn't. Body said, "Man, I don't give a shit. If you, this is like the 900th heart you put in an Emmy. I don't give a shit. I'm ready to go." That dude was blind, deaf, senile, all kinds of shit, deficient in everything. And one thing he kept getting another heart. Rockefeller. I forgot the first name, but was it a Rothschild? I think it was a Rothschild. It was one of them motherfuckers. Either way, that old ass motherfucker, and he passed like about, I don't know, probably within the past 5-6 years or so. He was either a Rothschild or a Rockefeller. He had several heart transplants. Several. Getting a brand new heart. Every time that ticket stopped ticking, he was like, give me another one. Yeah. We got good genes. They want our stuff. Our stuff take a licking and keep on ticking. You want to add an extra 10 years to your life? Grab you a ninja heart. You want to get back to 2020? Get you some ninja eyes. There you go. Just don't get you no ninja blood, because you'll get the diabetes. You'll get that diabetes. You'll get that diabetes. You'll get the sugar. Don't get you no ninja blood. You'll get the sugar. But hearts and eyeballs, you know, that's all day long. All right. So, let's see here. What's the name? He said that. The Mountie green bean. Let's see here. Let's catch up with him. He said, skip the line and go to Heart Target. Get you a Ninja Heart at Walmart for $99.99. Yes, sir. Mark Harris says 6 heart transplants. So he knows exactly what I was talking about. He knows that Rockefeller. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I guarantee that was a Ninja Heart that they chased down and hunted and did whatever they did. Mrs. O says, when I worked in the hospital, people that have donor check on their cards end up not making it from the hospital alive. So if you had donor checked on your ID, you know what I'm saying, you would have went in for the common motherfucking cold. 3 days later, like, I'm sorry, miss, whatever the fuck, he didn't make it. He just came in for the goddamn cold. What the hell? You just gave him a couple of aspirin, you know what I'm saying? Some Vicks. Oh, man. He caught the severe infection, you know what I'm saying? Blase spleet. Whoop, whoop, whoop. He came back in the room. He was ice cold. Sorry. Ice cold. A-Team says, I bet all of them were young ninja hearts. Strong. Yeah, they had lion hearts in them, you know what I'm saying? When they put them hearts in Rockefeller, he jumped up the next day and that motherfucker was doing jumping jacks and shit, you know what I'm saying? Doing a 5K run, you know what I'm saying? He was, man, shit. He's like, ooh, shit, I feel like I'm 20. You put a fucking 20-year-old heart in your ass. That's why you feel like you fucking 20. You fucking devil. Del Monte Green Bean said he had rhythm while he had it. Hell yeah. He was up in there, he was jitting and shit, you know, crip walking, you know what I'm saying? Like, boom, boom. Like, motherfucker like, damn. You got soul. Yeah, he had soul all right. They put their heart in his ass. Became soul brother. Ain't that about a motherfucker? Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's a couple of points I want to bring out. Okay, but first, before we go into the points, we always refer to this. We always refer to this. All scripture is given by God and is profitable for doctrine and reproof, for correction and instruction in righteousness. Let me take these graphics off right quick. Hold on. Zechariah 11:15. Let's go up to the scripture before that. Thus saith the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter. Who is us? That's us. Who possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. See, what they do is they'll do a trespass against us and what have you, and then either already hide behind a law that's already established or what have you, or make you out to be the greater villain in some form or fashion, that you end up being the reason why what happened to you. So they don't care if we accept it or not, as long as it's out there that, you know, whatever happened to you, you did it to yourself, either directly or invertly, or roundabout, or indirectly, indirectly or indirectly or inadvertently. And we're not at fault for it. And this doesn't really have it goes along with one of the comments. I think it was, I can't remember. I think I have to go back on there. I believe it was, let me see here. I think it was DeMonte Green's, like who is, how do we know who Esau is? And that kind of goes into a whole nother topic, so to speak, and what have you. But it's a valid question for those who really don't know. But it also, to know who your enemy is to know who you really are. Has it ever dawned on you that everybody else can claim a piece of land? I'm Asian, I'm Arab, I'm Irish, I'm English, I'm Russian, I'm Indian. And we the only ones that are described as a crayon? Oh, well, no, we're African American. Hey, Mrs. O, who's that actress and actor who is also African American? Can you put that up, please? I can't remember I can't remember who they are right now. It's an actress who's also African American. And when you hear the name and you Google it and you look at her, does she look like you? Elon Musk is one. There you go, Elon Musk. He's African American. Do we have American citizenship? If he do or don't, he's African. The Monty Green Beans is knowing where I'm going with it. Exactly. So to know who Esau is to accept who you really are. Two nations are in thy womb, two manner of people. Two nations, two manner of people are in thy womb. That's why we don't, on an overall, on a macro level, we don't mix. It's always been a rift. Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up out of the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known over all the families of the earth. But what about John 3:16? The world of Israel. And we can go into that, but that's not what the show is about. That'll be a straight up class on scriptures. The reason why I bring this out is that you have to, the problem is this. The problem is this. We don't know who we are, not really. And on a macro level as well. Macro level, we don't know who we are. On a macro level, we don't know who our enemy is. We can have this long credit report of these motherfuckers doing the exact same shit to us over and over and over and over and over again. And for some reason, we think the system that they created for us, not for us, but they created, we can somehow grievance to, and we're going to get some type of relief. That thought and principle is absurd. It makes absolutely no sense. That's the core problem of what's going on over here. That's the core problem of what's going on. And although we have tried numerous of times in the past and what have you, they come and erase everything we do, and we have to keep starting from zero. And now they've done that so much, now we in a self-destructing state. Now we got people who got it and will not come together to make anything happen. Because the minute they do, they're gonna cut them off, and whatever they did implement, whatever it is, whatever momentum they have gotten, they're gonna put it to a screeching halt. So again, when you ask, well, what's the resolution? What's the answer, old school? And it's something that you don't want to hear. It's something that's make-believe to you. But then I pose the question to you. What else do you got? Because this system has proven to you myriad times over. It ain't gonna work out for you. They'll give you some affirmative action after you done died and sweated and walked 1,000 miles for it and shit. And then 40, 50 years later, they reverse it on your ass. They'll give you some voting rights after you done got dogs sicked on you and hit with water hoses and shit and walked another 1,000 miles all over this motherfucker. And then 50, 60, 70 years from that point, they're gonna reverse that shit. They keep making us start from zero. Dealing with them using their system. It's time to start believing in another system. And I'm gonna drop the mic on that. I'm gonna drop the mic on that, and we gonna go ahead and go into the latter part of the program. But before we do that, Mrs. O got something to tell you. So Mrs. O, come on in and do your thing.
Shalom, family. This is Mrs. O. Thank you for joining our channel. If you enjoy our content, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to support our channel, you can do so by scanning the QR codes to the Cash App or the PayPal in the lower left corner. We would greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the show.
All right, thank you, Mrs. O. Remember, if you like the content, like, share, and subscribe. Okay, push this information out. We're about making our people aware on that will push this information out and get the conversation going amongst more people, okay? Mark Harris says, old school, like the scripture says, some people's minds have been seared closed. Yes, I mean, absolutely. The Most High it's already predestined. That a certain people he's gonna wake up, and out of those certain people, some people are gonna stick to it. Those are the chosen. And what have you. It's a question that Del Monte Green Beans posed in the chat today. He said, well, who is Esau? That's gonna come out in the next episode. Now, when I bring it out, and I'm gonna pose this question in your mind right now. According to world history, who were the Greeks? Who were the Greeks? Who do you call them people today? What color are they? Who was Greek Alexander? Well, not Greek, but they call him, I don't want to call him that description. I call him Greek Alexander. Who was Greek Alexander? History called him something else. And then the opposite of that is called Les. It's Les. Who is Les Alexander, the Greek? Answer that with some honesty. Hold that thought. And then I'm going to drop the connection to your ass next week. Okay? I'm going to drop the connection to your ass next week. Now, when I drop the connection to your ass next week, you can either accept it or don't accept. Either way, it is what it's going to be. It is what it already is. And that's your answer to who is Esau. And then I'm going to add one more little piece to that and show you what Esau is spiritually today. We're going to get into that off the rip. Since he posed the question, we're going to have a mini class on it right quick. And then we're going to get into what we usually talk about here on Surreal Sundays, okay? Be honest with yourself. What color are the ancient Greeks? What color are they depicted on any scholarly work, any statues, on Google, any historical references? Who are they? And then keep that shit with you and come back to Surreal Sundays next week, and then I'm gonna drop the connection on your ass. Then it's up to you. You ain't gonna want it. You don't want it. Guaranteed. Most of us don't want it because we love white Jesus so much. But we're gonna go ahead and get into our next segment of the show. The next segment of the show. And that's that hot video. Okay, so yeah, that's not directed towards anyone or what have you, but that was a question that was asked, and it poses this information is for those who don't know. And when the information drops, it's on you after that point. No, sir. No, sir, Mr. Mark. Truth don't care about feelings. The truth is going to be the truth, whether you like it or not. But we're going to go ahead and switch gears and go ahead and go into the second part of the program. So next up is the video. We got Ohana Songbird, Deceivable Heart. Is an oldie but goodie for me. I love this song. So let's go ahead and get with it.
Look at what you've done.
All right, that was hot. That was hot. That was hot. That was absolutely hot. All right. So next thing in the segment. You, yes, sir. You already know what it. Hey, who's out there who already know what it is? I want to see who already know what it is. Who already know what it is? I'll wait. What time is it? I want to know who's out there who already know what time it is. Who already know what time it is? I want to see it. I don't want to see no emojis. What time is it? Come on now. Y'all in it, man. Come on. Oh, okay. Here we go. Mrs. O. Of course she know what time it is. Of course she know what time it is. A-Team says, I'm cleaning the kitchen. And there ain't no excuse. You know what time it is, too. You know what it is. Whiskey of the week, baby. Whiskey of the week. Gonna put the emojis up. Next time I throw that out there, I want to see it. I want to whiskey of the week, baby. Whiskey of the week. All right. Let me put a couple things up here. Back up here. All right. All right. Whiskey of the week. So now we're going to switch over. All right, whiskey of the week. This is when I need a engineer to work all the little intricacies of the show, man. Whiskey of the week. Sugarborn Rye, American whiskey. So I had got this weekend, based off of I tried it out because I was looking for some whiskeys to check out. On YouTube, so I was checking them out. Checking out what a couple of reviewers had to say and what have you. So Sycamore whiskey was something that they said was going to be something to look into. So I did. And this is an enjoyable whiskey. However, to be honest with you, it doesn't have that strong, peppery, spicy flavor that I'm looking for in a rye. So my taste is like this. when I'm going into a journey, into a certain journey or what have you, I'm looking for the most robust, most profound characteristics of said profile. So in a rye, the said profile is a peppery and a spicy profile. So I want to taste. I want to have that strong pepper, spicy flavor. Sycamore is more on the mild side. It does have a nice flavor profile in the middle. You know, once you take it in, and in the middle it really hits your palate and what have you. And then it has a somewhat of a spicy effect on the back end. At the beginning of the profile, it has a sweetness to it. So this would be a good rye whiskey to choose from. However, so far, Wild Turkey Rare Breed is leading the pack. As far as the flavor profile on that one, it's hands down so far. No one has beaten Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Okay. But this one you will enjoy. But its profile is more on the middle to subtle side. Okay. And the sweet characteristic is very pronounced in the beginning. Okay. So you will not be disappointed, but if you like me that wants everything to be on 100 based on what we're doing at that time, if your profile, if rye is supposed to be peppery, spicy, I want to taste peppers and spice. I want 100. I want that to be on 100. That's just me personally. Some people want that to be in the middle. They don't want that to be so pronounced. So if that's you, Sagamore Rye American Whiskey is for you. Cask Strength Rye Whiskey. Our Cask Strength Rye Whiskey is a blend of straight high rye and low rye mash bills aged 4 to 7 years. The 7-year contributes deeper chocolate, hazelnut, and molasses characteristics, and the 4-year adds bright citrus notes and balanced spice. After our distillers select and blend these straight rye whiskeys, they add just a touch of limestone filtered water from our spring house built in 1909. Cask Strength is complex and perfectly layered, showcasing a transformational art of blending. And my response to that, I don't think is a complex profile. Not in the context that I'm perceiving, that I'm reading. I think it's pretty simplistic, not in a negative context, but you can tell what you're tasting from the beginning to the middle to the end. And it's not overpowering. So this might be a good whiskey, rye whiskey, for people who are entering into their rye whiskey journey, or those who just like a mild rye whiskey. Either way, you won't go wrong taking this off the shelf. And I strongly suggest that if you are interested in this, you go out and get you some tonight after the show. Okay. Mrs. O sent me a text. She said, don't forget Snatch Shenanigans. So we gonna get Snatch Shenanigans going. And what we have lined up for Snatch Shenanigans. Yeah, I'm glad Mrs. O reminded me about Snatch Shenanigans.
Also tonight, a big development involving a little dog. 2 women are now in custody after a video went viral of that dog being kicked across a front lawn. The video sparked a lot of backlash in Contra Costa County. NBC's Alyssa Gord is at the county jail in Martinez.
Police say they arrested the 2 suspects and took them here to the county jail. They say this all started with a dispute between neighbors. The search is over. Tonight, Pittsburgh police say they found who they were looking for in Oakland, a mom and her daughter both placed in handcuffs. Police say they're the women seen in this viral video involving a dog named Gigi. Gigi's owner posted the video to social media. It shows what happened in his front yard. Ultimately, Gigi was kicked and went flying.
She hit the planter right here. I mean, she hit it hard. It wasn't like she got kicked and tumbled. She got kicked and smashed against the planter is what happened.
We spoke to Gigi's owner earlier this week. He says this all followed a dispute with his neighbor who ran over his plant.
You yelling at my mama over there?
And that his neighbor's daughter and granddaughter came over and threatened him with a gun. Then one of the women kicked his dog.
Any juror that sees that video is going to be appalled, and this would be a very difficult case to take to trial.
Legal analyst Stephen Clark thinks the police and the district attorney wanted to send a message to the community that this type of behavior is not acceptable.
And that's someone I think the court is going to want to see do anger management and other counseling to address that issue. And they likely would not be able to own an animal during the period of probation.
Police say Gigi is safe at home tonight. Her owner doesn't want to speak on camera, but thanks the community for their support. In Martinez, Alyssa Gord, NBC, Bay Area News.
A dispute, a disturbing video that's gone viral, and the search for a woman accused of kicking a family pet. Tonight, Pittsburgh police say they're looking for information on this woman caught on camera kicking a small dog hard enough to send it flying. This happened during a heated neighborhood dispute. Now, both neighbors say the other side is to blame. We do have to give you a heads up on this and warn you that the video is a bit hard to watch. Here's NBC Bears' Jody Hernandez.
She's like an infant. She's a baby. She's tiny, tiny.
That's why Albert Lopes can't understand why anyone would try to hurt his little dog Gigi. But a dispute with his neighbor last week ended with a woman caught on camera kicking the little dog hard enough to send her flying.
She hit the planter right here. I mean, she hit it hard. It wasn't like she got kicked and tumbled. She got kicked and smashed against the planter is what happened.
Lopes posted the video on social media where it's gone viral.
If it hits home, it hits home. And this one, I didn't think it hit that hard, and it did.
Lopes says it all started when he confronted a 68-year-old neighbor after she ran over his plant.
You yelling at my mama over there?
I didn't yell at her.
He says next thing he knew, the woman's daughter and granddaughter came over, and he claims began threatening him with a gun. That's when he picked up his 17-year-old dog, Miko, to go inside to call police.
No, I'm gonna call the police.
Lopes says that's when the woman instructed her daughter to kick Gigi.
I want to put closure to this and justice for her. That's, you know, Miss Gigi deserves every bit of it because she was innocent in this whole matter.
Pittsburgh police have posted about the incident on social media, saying they're aware of the video and are investigating. But Albert's neighbor says the video doesn't tell the whole story.
He had upset me, disrespected me, and cursed me out. They don't know that part.
That neighbor, the grandmother who Albert says ran over his plant, claims the dog owner was the aggressor and insists her daughter didn't have a gun. She says she doesn't agree with her granddaughter kicking the dog, but believes it was a reflex.
My granddaughter got upset about him talking to her mom, like.
Okay, so I was looking for the name of this young lady. But the granddaughter, you made it to Surreal's week, Surreal Sundays, Snatch Shenanigans this week. Congratulations for kicking a dog that looked like it was less than 10 pounds at that. I hope someone comes and Thanos kick the shit out of you someday. Soon. Okay? All right. So that's it for Snatch Shenanigans. We got this Snatch kicking dogs and shit because her grandmama felt like she was didn't want nobody to say nothing to her ass about nothing or what have you. And then here come these ninja snatches coming into play and kicking small dogs and shit. Or what have you. I want to see you go ahead and be so brave with a pit bull or Rottweiler, or German Shepherd, or a Belgian Melinos. But you won't do that. You choose your battles, don't you? Sad and sickening. Sad and absolutely sickening. Sad and absolutely sickening. All right. So, once again, the people in Lincoln Heights, Ohio have to face something that has been a reoccurrence throughout American history. And it's sad and it's frustrating. And overall, we look to try to find solutions through the same processes and systems that they created. And when you look at it, and when you look at everything seems like there's really no way out. We progress, we take three, 4 steps forward, and for some odd reason, we take 5, 6 steps backwards. And then we end up in a situation where we do harm upon ourselves. Out of trying another way and having to start from scratch. What's the answer? Which way is up? Now we have people who are entertainers, professional people, doctors and lawyers, business owners, and everybody is stuck in their own micro eco-socio system. No longer are we looking towards creating and building townships and cities because they've been burned and drowned so many times before. So what's the answer? And the answer is something that a lot of us at this point do not want to respect as a real option. It's fiction to most of us. Yet we say it in our speech, but we really don't believe it. But I pose to you this. What else do you have? What else do we have? Because when we pull out guns, they pull out more guns. And then they pull out laws. They'll change procedures and circumstances and create barriers. Same tools they've been using, they'll use again. When is it time to give up on the system that was created by your oppressors as your relief? This has been Old School X9 on Surreal Sundays. I appreciate you coming in and joining with us. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to rock with us tonight. And for that, we appreciate and love you for that thing. It's time to look at a different option. Because what we've been looking at has not worked. And with that, we out. And remember, you are your brother and sister's keeper. Peace.
Shades. Let's get into it. Where do I begin? Being in the skin, feeling like tabernacles, it could get intense. Treated like a sin, it could get me lynched. Even as a prince, it could get me pinched. But we don't even flinch, nah, not even an inch. Cause God up in the heavens and a nigga look like him. But they took his image and they put it through the rinse. Made it look like them, made it look like everything I grew up knowing was incorrect. They never said that I was ugly, but it's indirect. I used to get offended looking at my different flesh, but I bask in the sun, now it's limitless. For real, it took a while to get through to me too. Made from the same earth, we get nutrients through. Formed by the fingers of God, as mud in his cuticles too. In every shade is a beautiful view. Shades, here's something you need to know. The skin you in is gold, watch it glow. You a seed in the soil, you need to grow. It look just like me, it gets darker, deeper you go. Deeper that you go, deeper that you go. You don't even know. You a seed in the soil, you need to grow. It look just like you, it gets darker, deeper you go. Shades, brilliant tone, radiant surface. Encased in worth and englazed in perfect. The facts is deeper than the epidermis, and every layer still confirms a purpose. Shades. The sun in love with the way that you be. Your insecurities be funding these industries. Energy given to altering your imagery. It still be killing me. Never take the word of your enemies over we. Embracing the way you was made, the hell is a flaw. Went from being ashamed to being in awe. All the standards have changed, no longer belong. I wish they make it a law to see what we saw. You for an unskin, it's not a praise. Mixed is not a phrase. Don't forget you a light to the world, a lot of rays. How can you see this wave of truth and be not amazed? Self-love is not a phase. Here's something you need to know. The skin you in is gold, watch it glow. You a seed in the soil you need to grow. It look just like me, it gets darker, deeper you go. Deeper that you go, deeper that you go. You don't even know. You a seed in the soil you need to grow. It look just like you, it gets darker, deeper you go. Shades. Just like me.